welcome to another episode of the Coach Cody podcast. It has been quite some time since I have recorded an episode, and honestly, I don't really have any good excuses besides that I let overthinking and perfectionism get to me. So here I am relaunching the podcast, basically from square one. And just to get an idea of what this podcast might consist of, it will be focused on fitness, nutrition, life, mental health, emotional well-being, all the things that are important for your health in general. And I've always been into sports, and, fitness and nutrition is a passion of mine. But I really do want to emphasize the mindset and mental health side of things. So do expect to get more out of this than just fitness and nutrition. There will be a well-rounded things that I'm going to cover. Also, bear with me. I am a recovering perfectionist. So I'm trying to just kind of go through these episodes, not edit them, and just be okay with some rambling here and there. So bear with me as I learn to speak. I will ramble. I will probably get distracted as someone who also has ADHD. So what's up? If you also have ADHD, well, hopefully you'll be able to listen to this episode without also having a squirrel brain like me. But I'm going to try my best to keep fighting the urge to be a perfectionist about things and just keep rolling with it. I'm really excited to actually, I'm going to have guests on here and, cover all the topics that short form content on, like Instagram Reels, TikTok, even YouTube Shorts. It's all so hard to provide context to things. You only have you have like 1 to 2 minutes depending what platform you're using to really get a point across, and it doesn't allow for enough nuance and context, and I kind of hate that. So that is one of the biggest reasons I'm starting this relaunching this podcast, because I want to be able to talk freely and not have to worry about fitting things into 60 to 90 seconds and give topics the coverage that they deserve. So, outside of that, I guess I should probably reintroduce myself. I always tend to rush my past, rush my story, because I'm like, oh, people have probably heard this a million times by now, especially if you're watching this on my YouTube channel. So another thing, if you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, do know that I am also uploading the video version of this podcast to my YouTube channel. If you would like to go subscribe and check that out, then you can go to Cody _ talks. You can search that on YouTube. Or I guess if you just Google phalloplasty at this point, I think my YouTube channel still pops up. We'll cover that later. Sorry if you're new, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But all right, so I'm gonna just start this introduction as if brand new. Nobody knows me. This is the first interaction you are having with me. So, all right, from the start, let's just go with, well, my name is Cody. It was not always Cody because I was actually born female. I did transition about 9 years ago. I was born female but transitioned to male, aka FTM, female to male. And how I got to this point, well, so I grew up in the church. I went to a Christian school from pre-K through high school. My first experience with the secular world was in college, or junior college. And I originally started going to college I wanted to be a registered dietitian. So my passion for nutrition and fitness has been around for a really long time. I grew up playing sports, but I didn't really have the focus of, fitness wasn't my focus. It was just, how can I get better at sports and how can I kick people's asses? But now, once sports ended in high school, I felt a little lost, and my passion for nutrition and fitness kind of grew. But we're going to dive into how I got into nutrition and fitness first, I guess. But my mom was diagnosed with colon cancer when I was younger. And I think from there started my paranoia of, how did this happen? How can I prevent this? Or at least, how can I remain as healthy as I can just in case it does happen to me? Because sometimes shit just happens. You can't prevent everything just because you eat or whatever a certain way. Life's not fair. So sometimes even the healthiest of people end up with things like cancer. But doesn't mean that you shouldn't it doesn't mean you shouldn't care about your health, because the stronger you are, the better your chances of survival are. So there's your tangent number one. So I got into fitness and nutrition quite a long time ago, just researching, it just helped me learn, the reasons behind things sometimes, or, not knowing the reasons behind things sometimes. But it kind of started my deep dive into what I could do personally to potentially, hopefully, prevent that from happening to me. But rewind. So I was in college, and I had never had any exposure to really the secular world until college. And my first college class was geology, which is pretty heavy in the evolution that I was never taught. We were only taught that it was false. It was wrong, and creationism was the only way and the only correct way. And so I essentially had to relearn a lot of things after I got into college. I felt like way behind my peers. It was wild. It's wild when you get your little like bubble popped, right? So despite that, I was still pretty religious. Our school had kind of embedded these principles in us, and being like, what? Here's what they're going to teach you in the outside world. And that's where like the evolution they did teach us. They were like, here's what you might learn, but here's why it's wrong. So I still applied those principles even through those college classes, up until the point where I kind of couldn't really ignore it anymore. But it took me a while to get there, because here's why. So when it came to Christianity, just like most things, I'm a rule follower, or at least I was. And my main goal in life was to please God. I wholeheartedly was trying to be the best Christian I could be a good example to others for Christ. And, Jesus was my savior, the one and only. So I wanted to do everything I could to please God. And even though I knew I was different from a young age, I didn't really have the words to know why or what. It was really painful. Not really knowing why I was different, knowing that I was, but then also kind of, as soon as I hit puberty, I kind of started isolating myself. And that's where the real kind of depression started to kick in. But fast forward, I got married when I was 21, just because I didn't know any better. I didn't know I had any other option, because pleasing God meant, getting married, saving yourself for marriage. Which Christians who save themselves for marriage, you generally end up marrying young, because you want to do the deed. Oh man, I could have saved myself so much pain if I would have just not followed that rule. But anyways, so how am I supposed to know, right? I've never had sex before. Get married. I'm like, was that supposed to that's supposed to be? Anyways. But that marriage lasted for 3 years, and I finally started coming to terms with me being different and things not being right, because I was super fucking depressed. My ex he was stationed in Germany. He was in the military. So I was in Germany pretty isolated for a good 8 to 9 months. I had no friends. I didn't work because the base we were on was closing down, but to be real, my social anxiety was so bad. Even if I could work, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold a job, because I was pretty much mute at this point, very, very much so isolated. And it only got worse because there was not many people on the base, and I didn't fit in with the military wives. I didn't have kids. I just did not fit in. So I remember I was coming home from the commissary when I was in Germany, or when I was married in general. My biggest event of the day was going out for a run. I used to run 40, 50 miles a week. Little did I know I was just trying to run from my problems. But I was coming home from the commissary, carrying groceries in hand, walking back to our apartment. And I just remember thinking, this is not how my life is supposed to be. And I started imagining what my life could be like if I didn't follow all of the rules I thought I had to follow. And it wasn't until I started thinking, what if there is no God? And I'm just kind of wasting my life away. And not to say that there is no God. I don't know. no one truly knows for sure. But I will say I do not believe in the religion, the Christianity, that I once did. So we don't need to go into too much detail about that. Maybe I will another time. But it wasn't until I started questioning my faith that I started realizing, like, I could be doing this. I could be like torturing myself for no reason. Like, one, even if there is a God, how do I know that he would be against being my true self? How do I know, or why would there be a God out there that would never want me to experience true love or happiness and just, deal with the cards that I've been dealt? And I know there's a lot of Christians out there that still think, like, those are the cards you've been dealt. And that is just something that you have to deal with, just like everyone else has something to deal with. But I'm not here for that, because I was miserable, and we don't know anything for sure. But I do know for sure that if I would have lived my life that way, I probably would have ended up ending it. And that's not a healthy thing to do. So fast forward a little bit, I left Germany to go to culinary school. Reason being is I wanted to be able to teach people how to cook healthy food. My main mission was to get people cooking at home more and cooking healthy foods more, because, I had originally gone to school because I wanted to be a registered dietitian, but I realized I wanted to be, in the trenches with people a little bit more. I didn't want to just give people assignments and numbers and handouts and be like, here's lists of foods you can eat, and here's how many calories you can eat. I still do that currently, but a little different. But I wanted to work more on taking action. And one of those ways for people to take action is to start cooking at home more. So I went to culinary school because I wanted to be like a personal chef for people who were struggling with weight. And I did do that on the side a little bit, but I did mostly work in kitchens after graduating. And it was just not for me. So came full circle. Ended up getting my training certification, which I had gotten one in college, but I got another one again, and started coaching online. And I still implement the things I learned in culinary school. I have a cookbook called Shit You'll Actually Cook, because it's simple recipes for people to cook at home and overall eat healthier. So my mission still remains the same. I want to get people eating more vegetables, cooking more at home. I think with the, fast-paced culture that we have now, that has kind of gone to die a little bit, and I want to bring that back. And oops, sorry, my computer is just making noises, but we're gonna keep going. So once again, full circle, I quit my kitchen job about 6 years ago, a little over that now, and to go full time as a coach. And I've been working as a online health and fitness coach ever since. Also, I got into bodybuilding. So I found my new sport. I competed for the first time in 2016, the end of 2016. And I've competed 3 times since. And my last show was in November of 2023, where I won my class in the 35 plus Masters division, the overall, and qualified for nationals. So now I'm currently basically on the road to nationals. But see, I'm gonna lose my spot. Sorry, I'm ADD or ADHD. But yeah, so fitness, nutrition, still my passion. And my passion is like helping people, working with people. And that's another thing that I want to be covering on this podcast, offering more information about certain topics that need more context, that need more, information than, short form content can really supply. But I do plan to have guests on here as well. But ultimately, I'm trying to figure out how to summarize who I am. So, so now that I've gone from Christian school, pre-K, through high school, to college, to culinary school, to online coach. So 6 years I am a coach. I have worked with hundreds of individuals to help improve their health and fitness. It is still my passion. It is something that I hope to be doing for as long as I possibly can. And so that's where I'm at currently. I'm just here trying to reach more people. Another reason for this podcast And hopefully this will be helpful for you if you are looking to improve your health and fitness. Then I hope you'll find all this information helpful. So to wrap things up, I think it's about time we do that. This is just my intro podcast. I want to say that if you have been joining, like if you are someone who's been listening to this for a while, thank you so much for rejoining and dealing with the long hiatus. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining in. There's going to be a lot of great stuff to come in the future, and there'll be a chance to get to know me a little bit more in a less ADHD fashion as we move forward. But overall, I just want to get this thing started and not procrastinate, not let perfection or overthinking get in the way of things. But for now, I would love it if you would subscribe, comment, share this podcast anywhere to anyone who you might think it might be helpful for. So I think I missed the whole ass part about why I transitioned or when I transitioned. I transitioned 9 years ago. So yeah, I'm a trans man. I don't remember what I've said anymore. But yeah, I'm a health and fitness coach who is also happens to be trans. I'm a bodybuilder, and I want to help you be the healthiest you that you can be. So thank you all for listening to this fucking shit show. Hopefully moving forward, I will learn how to talk in a better manner without it being so rambly. But until then, peace out, guys. I'll talk to you next time.